General Hospital spoilers for Thursday. July 17th reveal that Dante and Lulu are standing at a crossroads, one shaped not only by the echoes of their past but by the uncertain and emotionally charged future of their son, Rocco. What once felt like a closed chapter between them is now slowly, cautiously reopening, and it's not driven by nostalgia or unresolved romance alone. It's being driven by necessity. By shared responsibility, and by the stark realization that Rocco's future demands unity, even when their hearts still carry the weight of former fractures. And in that fragile, evolving space, something new is forming, the possibility of transformation, not just as parents, but as a powerful force. The question is no longer whether Dante and Lulu can find peace. It's whether they are poised to become Port Charles's next power couple. The emotional tug-of-war over Rocco's needs has placed Dante and Lulu into a space where they must examine not only their roles as parents but their identities as individuals who have both grown, separately, painfully, and unevenly. Rocco, no longer a child to be protected by default decisions, is entering a stage of life that demands consistency, structure, and a true sense of family, whatever shape that takes. And both Dante and Lulu are beginning to understand that their current dynamic, though civil, may not be enough. They have differing views on how Rocco should be raised. Dante, hardened by years in law enforcement, sees structure and discipline as the backbone of stability. Lulu, whose years in a coma robbed her of time but not of instinct, wants to give Rocco freedom, space to explore, to feel, to ask questions. These aren't conflicts born from selfishness, they are rooted in genuine care. But those differences are also pushing both of them to reevaluate not just their co-parenting roles, but their future together. Because the truth is, despite everything, Dante and Lulu still see each other, still understand each other. And that recognition, that unspoken emotional current, is beginning to surface again. In their disagreements, there's passion. In their compromises, there's trust. And in their moments of silence, there's still a deep, unbreakable bond. Port Charles is full of fractured families, broken promises, and temporary alliances. But what Dante and Lulu share, after all these years, may be one of the few remaining connections built on shared history and mutual sacrifice. As they continue to face tough decisions about Rocco, where he goes to school, how to handle his questions about their past, and how to give him a sense of identity amid the chaos of Port Charles, they are slowly becoming more than just exes navigating parenthood. They're becoming a team again. And that transformation is changing everything. Their shared presence at community events, their increasing alignment on family values, and the way they instinctively fall into step during moments of crisis are all signals that something deeper is reforming. Not just affection, but a partnership. One that is rooted in respect, matured through pain, and tempered by experience. If they continue down this path, they won't just be two people rebuilding what was lost. They will become a stabilizing force, the rare couple in Port Charles who rises not through ambition or power plays, but through integrity and unity. It's not hard to imagine the potential of what they could become. Dante, with his influence in the justice system, and Lulu, with her legacy as a Spencer and her journalist's insight, are positioned to be more than just co-parents or rekindled lovers. They could be a formidable team, leaders in both family and civic life. Port Charles needs anchors. People who are grounded not in schemes but in love, in purpose, and in a shared vision. Dante and Lulu could be exactly that. Of course, nothing in Port Charles comes without complications. The shadows of the past, Maxie's opinions, Olivia's influence, even Laura's expectations, loom large. And then there's the ever-looming question of trust. Can they truly forgive each other? Can they look past who they were and embrace who they are now? These questions won't be answered overnight. But what's clear is that for the first time in a long while, both of them are willing to try. And in a town built on betrayals and comebacks, that willingness may be more powerful than any secret or scandal. It's the beginning of a new chapter, not a retread of old love, but a redefinition. And if they continue to walk forward, one difficult decision at a time, Dante and Lulu may not just repair what was broken, they may rise into something Port Charles hasn't seen in a long time, a true power couple, shaped not by ambition, but by love, growth, and the fierce, unwavering desire to do right by their son. Because sometimes, the strongest partnerships aren't forged in peace. They're forged in fire, and Dante and Lulu are just now stepping into the flame together. Jocelyn is no longer standing in the background. For months, she's watched everything unfold, betrayals, shifting loyalties, secrets whispered just out of reach, and she's remained quiet, restrained, patient. But that time is over. This week on General Hospital, Jocelyn is finally stepping into the center of the storm. Not with hesitation. Not with fear. But with purpose. Because the request has come, the unspoken signal that it's time to act, and Jocelyn is more than ready to answer it. Alongside Vaughn. She's preparing for a confrontation that promises to reshape everything, beginning with the rising conflict against Emma. What began as emotional tension is now rapidly escalating into open warfare. Emma, once considered a friend and confidant, has shifted. She's changed in ways that Jocelyn can't ignore, or forgive. No longer the girl shaped by tragedy and compassion, Emma has turned cold. Strategic, and unapologetically ambitious. The Emma of today isn't playing games, she's playing for keeps. And Vaughn and Jocelyn know it. But Jocelyn has changed too. Gone is the young woman torn between pleasing her family and protecting her heart. What remains is someone who has survived enough loss, endured enough lies, and carried enough of everyone else's burdens to understand what real power looks like. She's not looking for permission anymore. She's not begging for truth or loyalty. She's taking control, and Vaughn is right there with her. Their alliance didn't start as a power move. It began in quiet understanding, two people pulled together by shared disillusionment. By a recognition that no one else truly saw what was coming. While others danced around Emma's sudden rise, her quiet manipulations and masked intentions, Jocelyn and Vaughn took note. They didn't speak of it out loud at first, but they understood what they were witnessing. Emma wasn't ascending by accident. She was building something, carefully, coldly, and with very specific targets in mind. And when Vaughn confirmed what Jocelyn had long suspected, that she was one of them, there was no longer any reason to pretend otherwise. Now, they've made their decision. The time for observation is over. The time for action has begun. Vaughn brings the clarity. He sees through the emotional smoke screens, the half-truths, and the facades Emma has carefully crafted. He's not fueled by vengeance, but by strategy. He knows where the cracks are. He knows how Emma moves. But what Vaughn doesn't have, and what he's come to admire in Jocelyn, is the fire. The emotional core that burns when someone you once trusted tries to cut you out of the world you helped build. Jocelyn's fury isn't reckless. It's precise. It's earned. And it gives their plan the heat it needs to do more than confront Emma, it will dismantle her. What makes this entire confrontation even more dangerous is that none of it is being shouted in public. Not yet. The war is building in shadows, in silences, in subtle moves and veiled remarks. Jocelyn has learned not to give her enemies early warning. She's letting Emma continue to believe that she's one step ahead, that her web of influence is working. But behind the scenes, Jocelyn is already preparing to expose everything. The manipulation, the gaslighting. The false narratives Emma has used to elevate herself while subtly isolating Jocelyn from the people who once stood at her side. The madness brewing is real. This isn't just about personal feelings anymore, it's about survival. Jocelyn knows what happens to people who stay passive in Port Charles. They're used, forgotten, rewritten. And she refuses to let that happen to her. If Emma wants a throne, she'll have to fight for it. And Jocelyn is not just ready to fight, she's willing to destroy. There's a new kind of energy now. One that viewers can feel building in every scene that brings these characters closer. The dynamic between Jocelyn and Vaughn is growing deeper, not romantic, but magnetic. They are two sides of the same fury, two people who are done pretending they don't see the games being played around them. Vaughn gives Jocelyn the strategy. Jocelyn gives Vaughn the emotional momentum. And together, they're becoming something Port Charles hasn't seen in a long time, a force unafraid of confrontation, unafraid of fallout. And unafraid to expose the lies that have held so many together for far too long. And Emma? She feels it. Though she may not admit it yet, she senses the shift. The calm is gone. The control she once had over the narrative is slipping. She's used to winning through silence, through manipulation cloaked in kindness. But this time, she's up against someone who knows her, someone who won't be fooled by her tears or silenced by her threats. Jocelyn sees her now, fully and clearly. And she's coming. What makes it even more electrifying is the inevitability of the showdown. This isn't the kind of tension that resolves quietly. This is building towards something massive, a confrontation that will leave one woman standing in control and the other forced to reckon with the cost of her ambition. Jocelyn's not interested in redemption. She's interested in justice. In truth. And in finally freeing herself from the shadow that Emma has tried to cast over her. Port Charles is about to witness a new war, one not fought with bullets or blackmail, but with intelligence, exposure, and emotional precision. The fire between Jocelyn and Emma is reaching a boiling point, and when it finally explodes, it won't just change the relationship between the three of them, it will change the future of every storyline they're connected to. Vaughn is ready. Jocelyn is ready. And Emma has no idea how close the reckoning truly is. Because this time, Jocelyn's not asking for a chance to prove herself. She's coming to take back what's hers. And she's bringing the storm with her. Anna is finally seeing the truth, all of it. The fragments that once didn't align, the uneasy silence that followed Emma's every sudden move. The subtle tension that rippled through Port Charles in recent weeks, it's all coming together now in one chilling realization: Emma is in danger. And the threat surrounding her is far more complex and immediate than Anna ever imagined. For a woman who has spent her entire life reading people, navigating intelligence corridors, and surviving betrayals both personal and professional, this is a deeply unsettling reckoning. She missed it. She missed it. And now she must act, faster than ever. Before the fallout becomes irreversible. The signs had been there, but Emma masked them well. Her newfound confidence, her rise in influence, her increasingly calculated behavior, it all looked, at first, like natural growth, the maturity of a young woman shaped by her family's legacy. But now Anna sees the truth. Beneath Emma's composed exterior is a tangled web of manipulation, emotional pressure, and, most dangerously, exposure to people who are far more dangerous than Emma realizes. Emma has stepped into a world she's not ready for, a world where ambition and influence aren't just games, they're weapons. And Anna knows all too well how quickly those weapons can turn on you. Jocelyn's mounting hostility. Vaughn's silent alignment with her. The sudden coldness in the way former allies now look at Emma. These are not random reactions. They are the symptoms of something deeper, darker. Emma has made enemies, possibly without realizing it, and now, the consequences are circling. Anna can feel it. Something is coming. And it's moving quickly. If she waits, even for a moment, she could lose her granddaughter not to death, but to something worse: corruption, isolation. The kind of emotional destruction that leaves permanent scars. Anna's instincts are in overdrive. She's no longer the neutral observer, no longer the cautious mentor. She's stepping into action now with a force sharpened by urgency and maternal instinct. This isn't about protocol or chain of command, this is about family. About protecting someone she loves from slipping into the same darkness that she, too, once had to navigate. Her first move is quiet but deliberate: surveillance. Anna begins watching Emma from a distance, retracing her steps, analyzing her interactions. What she finds rattles her. Secret meetings. Whispered conversations. unexplained connections to Vaughn. And more troubling still, an emotional volatility in Emma that she has never seen before. This isn't just a girl being misunderstood. Emma is caught in something, perhaps something she initiated. But that now threatens to consume her. Anna reaches out subtly at first, testing the waters, offering Emma guidance cloaked in casual conversation. But Emma, hardened now by recent experiences, pushes back. She insists she's fine. That she's in control. That Anna needs to trust her. And that's what makes it worse, because Anna does trust her. But she also knows the dangers of trusting someone who's too close to the edge to recognize the fall. Meanwhile, the rest of Port Charles is reacting in silence. Jocelyn is no longer hiding her intent. Her alliance with Vaughn is growing stronger, and both are gathering evidence, not just against Emma's behavior, but perhaps against whoever is influencing her from behind the scenes. There's a feeling of inevitability in the air. Everyone is preparing for something. And Anna knows she's running out of time to prevent it. What terrifies her the most is not that Emma might fall, but that she might fall alone. That in trying to prove herself, in trying to wield power that she's not yet ready to control, Emma could alienate everyone who might have stood beside her. Anna sees this not just as a tactical emergency, but as an emotional reckoning. She's failed to see her own granddaughters unraveling in real time. And now, she's determined not to let her be destroyed by it. The next steps Anna takes won't be political. They won't be careful. They'll be fast, direct, and deeply personal. She's not protecting Port Charles now, she's protecting her own blood. She's prepared to confront Vaughn. She's ready to challenge Jocelyn, to demand the full truth, even if it means accepting that Emma is no longer the girl she once was. Because what matters now isn't perception. It's safety. And Anna knows too well how quickly safety can vanish when the wrong people decide you're a threat. There's a storm building. And Emma is at its center. Anna is preparing for impact, not to control the outcome, but to shield her granddaughter from its worst consequences. Because for all her brilliance, for all her strength, Emma is still vulnerable. Still human. And in a world as dangerous and deceptive as Port Charles, that humanity may be the one thing that costs her everything. But not if Anna has anything to say about it. She's done waiting. She's done watching. She's going in. Nina is standing in the eye of a storm she never thought would return, a storm forged not from fresh betrayal, but from the weight of her own dark past. What she thought had been buried, forgiven, or at least forgotten has now resurfaced with a fury she wasn't prepared to face. Willow, once cautiously open to rebuilding the bridge between them, is now furious. Her rage ignited by the devastating truth of Nina's secret connection with Drew and the manipulations they both allowed to take root behind her back. This confrontation is more than just an emotional reckoning, it's a collapse of everything Nina had tried to build. And the choices she now faces are unlike any before, raw, painful, and without easy answers. For months, Nina had walked a tightrope, clinging to her progress, her tentative reconciliation with Willow, her proximity to Wiley, and her status as a complex but increasingly accepted figure in Port Charles. She had worked hard, sometimes through genuine humility, other times through silent manipulation, to position herself as someone worthy of a second chance. But all of it, every measured word, every calculated silence, was built on the crumbling foundation of a secret she never truly admitted to herself was wrong. Now that secret is out. Willow knows everything. She knows the depths of Nina's involvement in the scheme with Drew, the manipulation that blurred legal boundaries and emotional trust. And while Drew's reputation is bruised, it's Nina who now stands alone in the spotlight of judgment. Because this isn't just about one lie. It's about a pattern, a repeated inability to let go of control. To stop trying to rewrite reality according to her pain, her fear, and her desire for love on her terms. Willow's fury is not quiet. It is righteous, cold, and relentless. She doesn't scream. She doesn't cry, she stares, with tears in her eyes, not from heartbreak, but from finality. And in that look, Nina sees the one thing she's always feared more than anything. The confirmation that this time, there may be no coming back. The choices Nina faces now are brutal. She can double down, defend her actions, justify her past as survival. Argue that she never meant to hurt anyone. Or she can finally admit it. All of it. Not just to Willow, but to herself. That she crossed lines that weren't hers to cross. That her obsession with proximity to family has turned into an emotional crusade with collateral damage. That she is not the victim of every story. But even if she chooses to confess, to lay herself bare, what does that truly buy her now? Willow has shut the door. Carly and Michael are watching closely. Sonny is already on the edge of his own descent. And Wiley, the child at the center of Nina's desperate hope for connection, may once again be lost to her, not by force, but by consequence. What's rising in this moment isn't just one woman's fall from grace. It's a larger narrative shift, a powerful transformation in the very structure of Nina's character. She's no longer a woman clawing her way toward redemption. She's now forced to decide whether she can live with the ashes of her choices or set fire to everything in a final attempt at emotional reinvention. There's danger in both paths. If Nina continues to fight, she risks losing what little credibility she has left. Her attempts to spin the narrative could backfire, making her seem cold, calculating, and incapable of remorse. If she lets go, if she owns the pain she's caused, she may redeem herself in the long run, but it will come at the cost of everything she thought she needed to survive: control, influence, and the illusion that her intentions could always justify her actions. And Drew? He's reeling too. The alliance they once formed in secrecy is crumbling in the daylight of consequence. He's withdrawing, quietly protecting his name, distancing himself from the damage Nina is now absorbing alone. That betrayal stings Nina more than she expected. Because in the end, even her partner in the secret won't stand beside her. She's alone now, in truth, in pain, in choice. As Port Charles reacts, as whispers turn into full-blown condemnation, Nina is left with nothing but the truth. The truth about what she's done. The truth about who she's become. And the truth that if she's going to survive this, it won't be by manipulating forgiveness. It will be by confronting the version of herself she's run from for far too long. The storm with Willow is just the beginning. This reckoning is about more than just mother and daughter. It's about legacy. About the kind of woman Nina wants to be, and whether she's strong enough to become her, even after everything else has been lost. Sonny Corinthos has always been a man of action, a force forged in fire, loss, and loyalty. He's survived betrayals, buried enemies, rebuilt his empire from ruins, and made countless sacrifices in the name of family. But now, as the silent war with Sidwell erupts into a brutal confrontation, Sonny is facing a reckoning like no other. The choices before him are no longer just about retaliation or control, they're about sacrifice. And for the first time in a long time, Sonny is staring into a future where he may have to give up more than just power to protect what remains of his world. Sidwell is not just another rival. He's not a mobster who can be neutralized with a well-timed bullet or a public scandal. He's something more dangerous, intelligent, methodical, deeply connected, and willing to play the long game. And unlike Sonny's enemies of the past, Sidwell isn't going after territory or business. He's attacking Sonny's soul, his family, his legacy, the trust that binds him to those he loves. The fire at Charlie's pub. The targeting of Christina. The abduction of Marco. Every move Sidwell has made has been strategic, personal, and devastating. And Sonny knows this is no longer just a war over pride. This is survival. But that survival now comes with a cost. Sonny is standing at a threshold. Caught between the instinct to destroy and the growing awareness that something deeper is at stake. He could unleash his army, send a message so loud it shakes the underground to its core. But he's already seen where that path leads: more bodies, more broken families, more distance between him and the people he claims to protect. He's seen how violence breeds isolation. And yet, doing nothing means allowing Sidwell to gain more ground, to continue to poison the structures Sonny built with blood and grit. The weight of this decision is visible in every word Sonny speaks now. In every silent pause, in the flicker of doubt behind his eyes. He's a man who's lived on instinct, who's trusted his gut when the world turned against him. But now, instinct is failing him. The enemy is too quiet, too calculated. And the battlefield is no longer the streets, it's the hearts and minds of his family. Michael no longer trusts him fully. Willow is slipping away. Nina is unraveling. Carly is keeping her distance. And Jason, his brother in everything but blood, is watching from the shadows, protective, but uncertain. The empire Sonny built is still standing. But the walls are beginning to crack. And he knows that if he doesn't act, and act wisely, the entire foundation could collapse. That's where the unthinkable enters, sacrifice. Sonny is beginning to contemplate what he has never seriously allowed himself to before, walking away. Not in surrender, but in protection. Giving up the name, the power, the empire. In exchange for peace. For safety. For the possibility that Christina, Michael, Donna, and even Avery can grow up in a world not ruled by fear of retaliation. He wonders if stepping down might be the only way to stop Sidwell from escalating further. But the idea of letting go of what has defined him for decades is unbearable. Who is Sonny Corinthos without power? Without the fear his name commands? Without the control he has clung to, even at the cost of love, sanity, and connection? And yet, if he stays in the fight, the consequences could be catastrophic. Sidwell isn't bluffing. Every move Sonny makes is being watched. Every act of aggression could put his loved ones in deeper danger. He's no longer in a position where violence ensures victory. This is chess, not war. And Sonny is starting to realize he may have to sacrifice the king to save the board. This internal battle is changing him. He's less reactive, more reflective. But also more volatile when pushed. The fire inside him is turning inward, burning not just his enemies, but his own sense of identity. There are moments when he sits in silence, surrounded by the shadows of everything he's built, and asks himself what it was all for. The money. The influence. The reputation. Was it worth the cost of trust? Of his son's love? Of the woman who once saw through the noise and only cared about the man beneath? As the battle with Sidwell intensifies, so does Sonny's isolation. He's moving pieces, but the board is shifting beneath him. He's contemplating alliances he once rejected, thinking about deals he would have called cowardice just a year ago. Because the war isn't just about dominance anymore, it's about legacy. And Sonny is realizing that the way this ends will define how he's remembered, as a man who fought until everything burned. Or a man who walked away to protect the people he couldn't afford to lose. The final decision hasn't come yet. But the cracks are forming. And Port Charles is watching closely. Because if Sonny Corinthos chooses sacrifice, if he steps down, or worse, steps into a final confrontation he knows he may not walk away from, everything will change. Power structures will shift. Loyalties will be tested. And a new era will begin. The question now isn't whether Sonny can win. It's whether he's willing to lose everything to keep what little he still has left. And that, more than any bullet or betrayal, may be the most dangerous moment of his life.